Hey there, I'm Cyberchroma. Welcome to another live stream. And right off the bat, I noticed that something isn't working. Oh, never mind. It fixed itself. Why did that take time to kick in? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Hello. Welcome. Everything's good? Ooh, I have the desktop audio muted, so the background music wouldn't have been going if I hadn't noticed that. Cool. And that's a going. Welcome, one and all. Lol. So we are back working on the Handyman with Unicycle. Today will be quite a short stream because I be busy, mainly catching up on stuff that I put off all last week while I was doing the game jam. I'm having to just catch up on errands and stuff. But it's still finding some time to stream. I wasn't 100% sure that I'd be streaming today. I didn't stream yesterday just because, yeah, got things to catch up on. But we're streaming now, and yeah. What is that? Wait. Completely cutting myself off. There's like a... What's causing those lines specifically? I have no idea. What the heck? Is that from a gizmo of some kind? Yeah, is that the camera or something? I think that's just the camera, because there's a camera around here. And is it just... Yeah, I don't know why that just caught me. Wait, what are you? This has nothing to do with anything. I noticed... I don't even know if it shows up on... It's showing up on stream, but there's a line being caused by, I believe, the camera or something. Why are you a million miles away? What the heck? Or... This is so very not important for anything. I am just... What are you? This is the player camera. Oh, are you the transition cam? You're the thing of a camera, obviously, but what camera? I'm just curious. Is it this? It's this one. Okay, yeah, I was right. It's the transition camera. Okay. Oh yeah, that I was gonna try. You don't use. When did I do this? I was gonna try to have it use Cinema Machine stuff and then bailed on it, I believe. You shouldn't have that. I don't think. No. Anyways, yeah, not at all important. Just like, what is that? I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, starting off to immediately getting off topic. That is the Cyberchroma way. Yeah, so they're doing stuff with this game, or attempting to. I currently where I am with development of this is being a bit of a struggle because momentum is hard, as is the name of this particular stream. I had the player in a current, like in the state that it was a little bit ago, but I kind of took it upon myself to sort of tear down the player and then attempt to kind of build it back up with hopefully coming on the other side of that with a far superior player than what I had before. And already this has like the groundwork for being better than the old player, but it has a lot of smoothing out before it truly gets there. The fact that this can happen, which, you know, a million and one things here to still be made functional and then improved and be less buggy and whatnot, but the fact that, like, I don't know, being able to turn, you know, sideways, go up walls, and theoretically do like loops and stuff, this has the potential to be cool. If I can, you know, get everything all good with it. Take it from being like conceptually like, yeah, this could maybe work, to, you know, solving all the bugs that this is gonna have. Yeah, it can be cool. There is, I mean, like, there's a bunch of stuff that's still, even in its current state where like, oh, I'm still getting kind of some of the features in here, there's a lot missing, like, no, there's no gravity. The intent would be to, if I stop pressing buttons, I'll fall down or whatever. Currently, there's no movement in the air. I just haven't touched mid-air stuff that much yet. I have plans conceptually for how I want mid-air movement to behave a little bit differently than like moving on the ground. But for now, I just kind of disable input in mid-air, so you kind of get that arc, rather than just if you stop moving in mid-air, you just plummet. Yeah, but momentum has been tricky. And one thing that's been quite tricky, there's a thing I'm hoping to maybe start addressing today, but it's a very tricky thing, so I don't know if we'll get to it. Whoa. One of many things, apparently. So this movement, as it currently is, works on controller, but a weird thing, even though I get the input for controller or keyboard in the same place, Movement on controller feels very different, and yeah, even the camera turn speed somehow being very, very different than moving on keyboard. And part of me is like, oh, just get all, like, in terms of getting this player to be functional. Let me move this out of the way. I'm a little torn between how much I want to, oh, the player can move just on the ground, ignore slopes, ignore camera things, ignore everything, just get pure flat on the ground movement to be, you know, perfect. For like every step, a little thing that I make, polish it, have it be super good before I move on to the next thing. Part of me wants to do that, and then part of me is like, oh, just get the bare bones of like all the different features that this player needs to have all in place, and then sort of do a second pass through trying to polish everything. And there's like pros and cons to both. On one hand, it's like, oh, if I fully finish one thing before moving on to the next thing, then in theory I don't get swamped with this like super broken character that then has a million things to fix. You know, pros of going that method, but then it, you know, it can be tricky to even get each little thing to be super polished, because the difference between just saying that and actually doing it, getting the code to be all functional. But by getting other way of sort of getting all the pieces in there to be working first and then polishing all of it as one package, then I know, at least before I spend all the time doing polishing, making things work better, I know that it's all going to work. If I, you know, super very well polished like on-ground movement or whatever, and then I go to make it work on slopes and then like break the earlier stuff in the process, then it's like, okay, well, what was the point of polishing it in the first place? I don't know. This is a back and forth of like the best way to approach this, and maybe like the best solution is like a bit of both. Which, I mean, is currently kind of the case, because there's like, yeah, the movement on the ground is not currently, well, actually, I don't know what happened to the camera. I swear the camera used to not be like this, but I don't know. I think that may have happened recently when I did just recently redo a lot of the camera stuff. But, yeah. Some of the player stuff is a little bit, or like some of the on-ground movement stuff is kind of different and jankier than I swear that it was before, but whatever. One small thing is that if I'm just moving left and right, so like, it's obvious that to some degree, like, controller movement and keyboard input are not going to be one-to-one. You have more axes, you have more control on a controller, which like makes sense. But even something as simple as like an action that I can sort of do on both controller and keyboard, which is just going one way and then moving the other way, it's happening differently. It's not the same. So something I should do sooner than later is at least getting the input to like have what, if I do similar movements, it should effectively be the same. And I conceptually already know how I program some stuff with the momentum system, why some of that's different. I don't have a good idea of how to fix it, but you know, hopefully it's what we're gonna be figuring out. Yeah, so that's rambling. I had more stuff that I was going to ramble about. What was it? Like before we actually get started, like programming stuff. I don't know. Okay, well, first let me just be like, bam, here's the code as it currently is, which is, it's a bit of a mess. One thing I want to do with new and improved player different than the old player. Well, I mean, at the moment, all this like one big script. In theory, I'll eventually maybe separate some of this stuff into different scripts or whatever. But I kind of want one script at least that's focused just on like the pure physical movements of the player, and then for all the visual stuff, if that can be its own script, that would be cool to have them be sort of separated. Because the old player has like the stuff that makes it lean and the sort of like bouncing up and down a little bit and stuff like that. But that doesn't change how the player like physically moves around the world. So be able to separate them, because they might rely on each other to like get information. Like the thing that does the visuals might need to know like the velocity, and like there's different, you know, in the middle of being calculated variables. But just having them be in different scripts can just, you know, like turn one off if I need to, like turn off the visuals if I'm trying to test like, yeah, pure physical stuff, like how here I just have these colliders and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, so that be a thing. Other thing I was gonna say, so the fact that I'm doing stuff with the Handyman with Unicycle right now, also I'm gonna just switch over to just sit down. getting back into so I had like a week where I like wasn't streaming, and now I'm kind of getting back into streaming a bit as I'm still like easing into it, just catching up with like other stuff I got to do. I was thinking about how I want to have a bit more of a like a schedule properly when I'm streaming, but it's hard to do. Yeah, it's hard to account for, being busy with work and errands and stuff. But I have an idea for like a thing I would like to potentially try, and we'll see. I like bail on it immediately. But in terms of like what I'm streaming, like the content of stuff, what I'm working on, the idea of splitting it up in like a 3-day system. No, something. Okay, I'm not even doing good at pitching my own idea that I thought of earlier. Okay, I'm trying to like be generic and then lead into specific. Basically, I'll just skip right to where I'm actually attempting to go with this rambling. The idea of like during a week having like stream of working on the Handyman with a Unicycle, followed by stream working on something else that isn't like something miscellaneous, which for now is going to be the background stream animation. Right, that's the whole other thing that I wanted to ramble about, is more ideas I had with that background stream animation. Let me get that Unity project opening up. I knew I was missing something. I had something else big that I was gonna ramble about. That's what it was. Let me get that opening. What is it? So stream working on Handyman with a Unicycle. Stream working on for the next while. It's gonna be like improving my stream related things, such as making this new below the stream animation thing. Animation's the wrong word because it's not in animation. It's like a live thing that's like running over here. So step 1, get a better name for it. And then day 3 is playing games or whatever, which like for now the next of that is going to be finishing off Lost in Random. We were playing a few weeks ago. Finished the game, but gotta hunt down those last achievements, and then go into more stuff like that. But doing like for every, which, okay, that doesn't map out perfectly for a week, but going like, and then even like the order of that, I don't know, but doing kind of a 3-day cycle to have that variety of somewhere like, Handyman with a Unicycle, new stream background animation thing, and then playing games, and kind of doing that cycle over and over, I thought is a thing I could try doing, and see how that goes. But I imagine like, at least for the first while, especially right now as I'm like, as I said, busy and finding time to even just stream in the first place, I imagine it's going to be jumping around. Depending also on how long I can stream per day might also influence such things. If I think, this stream is going to be like an hour versus, this other stream on this day, I think I could do like 5 hours, I imagine I'm going to jumble plans around. But, we'll see. So now also this, I have stuff with this. I was considering working on this today, but I want to do, by jumping back and forth between Handyman with a Unicycle and this, 1, there's just more variety to my streams, and 2, they both get to develop and actually make progress, especially because, like, I look forward to, at least, I look forward to this game making progress, and especially just getting out of this phase of development of this rebuilding the player. Once the player is in a better state and I can get back to like making the test level and whatnot and building mechanics for that, I'm looking forward to when we get to that day. But it's going to be a little bit to get there. So going back and forth means that can happen faster rather than only focusing on this till it's done and then going back to that. And then variety, and then playing games in there just for funsies. Especially because I know that while I'm working on this in this super early state and this in this state where I'm barely knowing what I'm doing, we're trying to rebuild this character, I know that the content of what I'm doing probably isn't as interesting as it could be. I think working on this game will be more interesting both for me and for you when just more progress has been made. When I get to the stage of like, oh hey, we have a full-on level that we can play through and we're just cleaning up the last little things, but like, whoa, look, actual gameplay. That'll be very cool. So while we're not there yet, just jumping back and forth between stuff and then also playing games to also like give me ideas for stuff. Not ideas to just like rip off of other games, but like conceptual things, or like playing 3D platformers and being like, how do their 3D characters move, and why is mine bad, and how can I make it good by looking at what they do, stuff like that. Anyways, so this is a thing we started 2 days ago, last stream, which is going to be potentially the new what's below below the stream. This was called Wandering Cube, but there's way more I want to do with it than what you're currently seeing. So, like, so first of all, yeah, this black is where that's gonna be. Over here is where chat is, and then down here is. So right now it's just a cube that runs from place to place. I'm like, oh, that's cool, whatever. I just want to take this and put it on steroids of like having the actual environment that's here looking super cool, having like it not just be a flat ground, having like, you know, ramps and you know, verticality to it to some degree, and like stuff that the cube's actually pathfinding around and whatnot. Where the character's actually going, actually looking like, oh look, there's a thing there. Hello, Architect Ent. Hello, welcome to the stream. Welcome. I'm giving the sort of introductory ramblings of this that you saw that we were working on last stream, and yeah, Handyman the Unicycle. We're gonna be doing some stuff with this stream, but first time I ramble away about stuff because between the last stream and now, I was thinking, and I have more ideas for this. Well, I already had more ideas than just this, but I've more refined those ideas. Actually making them is going to be a separate question because there's a huge difference between thinking of something and then actually implementing it, especially with graphical stuff and how much it feels like I'm more just wrestling with Unity to get what I want to happen to actually happen. Yeah, so it's becoming Christmas. It's we're about to be Halloween, but like Christmas or Halloween is on the way. So, words, if I can say the correct holidays, that'd be great. Halloween's tomorrow, but then we're into winter season. Christmas is on the way or whatever. So first, before I say where this is going, so okay, environment-wise, I want to make this like a snowy landscape. I was like, oh, you know, what do I want environment-wise for this to look like? Do I go with this kind of grid sort of thing? Do I make it look like some kind of factory or warehouse, or like do I go between like it purposely looking like some in-progress video game level, or do I go for not real environment, but like an actual video gamey environment that's not just like a purposely broken test level thing? And I was thinking like, it might look better if I can actually, you know, make an actual environment or something, you know, see how that goes. And because winter's around the corner, I'm like, you know, like I could go generic forest or something. Let's try like wintry area, snowy area. I think could be interesting, and having. Rather than the whole thing being one single environment, having different areas that kind of are different parts of this environment. I want to attempt to have, and thinking of idea versus in practice, I'm sure it'll look totally different. I kind of want 3 chunks here. 3 subsections of this area. On the sort of top right, it being exterior, snowy, trees, all that. On the left, making a interior, wooden, like Santa's workshop looking kind of area, possibly. See how that goes. And then underneath, having floors, having an underneath like ice cave of interior ice, blues and icy snowiness, and seeing how that goes. Yeah, so splitting up into sections. With that said, if I want an environment that big, that's not fitting into 20 pixels high by 1920. So I am thinking that I want to try the method of having the camera in this actually move around to follow the player and not just be a static shot. I think I can have more environment if I do it that way and get more variety out of it. Now, I think as well, instead of having the camera just be locked on the cube and following it around, having the player and then the destination where the player is currently going always be the 2 things that are in view. That could be, I think, an interesting way to have the camera system. Have it like dynamically, you know, pull back or zoom in based on like, oh, the player and where it's trying to go is like across the map. It's like zoomed out so you can see all of it as the player gets closer, and then it kind of slowly zooms in. I thought like that kind of camera system could look cool. And that particular kind of camera system is something I don't think I've ever programmed before, like that specific kind of thing. So that's just new stuff I get to mess around with and hopefully, you know, make it look good in the process. And then the things that you're collecting, I was thinking, oh, do I just make it generic video game, like, you know, coins or, you know, a thing that looks like a power, like things that you, average things that you'd collect in a video game. I'm thinking if I go the Christmas route, then I make it look like just presents or something. Maybe. Or maybe, I don't even know if I'll do that. Maybe I do just go with generic coins or something. But yeah, doing that could be, yeah, interesting. And then right now it's a cube that hopefully will also, I have it like, as it's, like the way it moves around becomes more interesting, a bit like Ideally, instead of just like sliding it, maybe it's like hopping kind of or something. I don't know if I'm gonna go the full route of giving it like a face or anything. I think for now I want to leave it being just, it's just a cube with just a, even I might take away the texture and purpose be like, can I have a solid color, like single colored cube and just have it move in a way that has it feel alive? Like, I'm tempted to sort of try that and see if I can do that well. And then eventually, once we're at a state where, in a sort of later state where that's all like kind of together, then I want to try swapping out cube for person, i.e. Taking the animated me that I made in Blender and putting it in Unity, either as is or potentially making kind of a version 2 of it, which might mean making it from the ground up, we'll see. And then, yeah, putting that in here. Other additional idea that could potentially be cool with this is what might help the way that, how I said before, that one challenge of this is how it's like the space I have to work with is so thin yet so long that it's like not normal camera dimensions, so it's like weird to work with. If I were to like split this down the middle and have 2 cameras following 2 characters that are like running around the same environment, almost like they're competing or something, maybe that could be something interesting. Have split down the middle, I mean, actually thinking it, while I'm in the middle of making like person and still having this cube working, maybe I have both, have the cube and the person. I don't know if that would work or not. Maybe 2 cubes then transitions into 2 people or something. I don't know. Maybe that, yeah, stuff to figure out. But then if I did that, then each individual camera space is then less weird in terms of its sort of camera proportions or whatever. So that's, yeah, stuff I've been thinking about that we'll see how that goes. We're not making that right now. I wanted to have today's stream be more about Handyman with the Unicycle. I kind of want to, as I said, I kind of go back and forth, do a bit of this, do a bit of that, yeah, and see how that goes. I would also then be interested in, because this isn't for a game necessarily, this is just, ooh, cool visual thing. I'd totally be fine with the idea of making assets to be used in both. That was also part of my thinking behind this is, I don't know how much code would necessarily be able to be reused, but like, on the art side, it's like making a cool environment here and then being like it totally being fair game to me reuse whatever environmental models as part of levels in this game. Vice versa, have like, you know, I say for now we make like this snowy wintry environment or whatever, put that in here and then, you know, put some of those assets in here, and then later on we make a new level here, like the submarine level that I want to make, and then I could make a whole new environment that is, for this or something. It's possible. The winter thing, this, like, if I make this sort of winter area, in theory that's not like a permanent thing. It'd be cool, yeah, I make different environments with the same kind of idea and swap them out from time to time. I just like, oh, winter's coming up, let's do a winter thing. That seems more interesting than just generic forest or whatever. Having like a cool like sci-fi lab does seem interesting, but like I don't immediately in my head have a good idea of like, okay, like what does that mean? Like what stuff in the environment do I want for that idea? Somehow with the idea of like, oh, these 3 subsections of like a, you know, state of the workshop-y kind of area and like a, you know, normal exterior forest and then underground like ice mine. I don't know, I was able to just picture that in my head better, so that's more what I want to do. And then, yeah, see if it goes anywhere. Like, see if it turns out good. Because again, hugely different story between me saying something and then when I actually go to implement that, then I might have the same levels of like, I don't know what I'm doing, blah. Because then, so one thing is the verticality there, the cube's gonna have to be able to actually deal with that, and I might sort of do it in a progressive manner of like not go immediately into building the super decked out version of this environment for the sake of the programming to actually make the cube be able to move around it. Start with something simple, just it's like flat ground, maybe like a simple slope, that kind of thing, whatever, and then start to implement like, okay, well, a simple obstacle that's like easy for, you know, because the nav mesh already handles that, but like things that would actually be trickier, right? Hey, Francesco, thank you for the sub, thank you, 21 months, jeez. Oh, no one, hello, what game are you making? Hello, welcome, hi. I am making 2 things at the Mo that I'm gonna be going back and forth between over the next little bit. What's going on here? Stuff. Okay, the last 26 minutes have been explaining what is going on here, but I will give the quick recap because, yeah, now people are, here and asking. So, For the next while, I kind of want to be going back and forth between doing stream of working on the Handyman with Unicycle, which is this game that I've been working on for a while, except it's in a very rough state right now because I tore apart the player and am building back up a new player that will move a lot better. And then once that's working, then I got to re-implement all the other mechanics and make them work with this new player. So it's in rough states right now, but it's getting back to, like, on the other side, it will be even more awesome than before. So yeah, this new player can do stuff like this, but it's, you notice how there's no gravity here. Like, that's something that still needs to exist. And then just, in general, be less janky than it currently is with a lot of the momentum stuff. So this is thing A. Thing B is this. You see below the stream how there's a live feed of a Unity scene that has a conveyor belt thing. I want to be working on a new idea for this. And quick recap of the quick overview of what the idea is. This cube moving left and right is not the whole of the idea. I want to take this and put it on steroids of making it way cooler. Just so I want to make an environment that, because winter's coming around, I'm going to make it a little bit Christmassy. I want sort of 3 subsections of like a Santa's workshop looking area up here, over here, like exterior, snowy environment, trees, all that. And then underneath that's like a underground icy mine kind of thing. And yeah, just this wandering cube just wandering around this big environment. The camera moving. Right now the camera doesn't move. I've decided that I want the camera to move to be like where the cube is and where the cube's currently going, kind of like zoom out so you can see both of them and then kind of close in as the player gets there, and then zoom out so you can see both again, and then whoa, kind of something like that. It'd be cool if then the actual movement gets to be more interesting when there's more here than just ground and slopes. Like, if there's a ladder, well, it doesn't work so much for a cube, but eventually I want to replace this cube with, like, a person, and then, like, ladders you climb up and down, having, like, blocks that looks like he's, like, jumping around. The idea is to emulate, have the way that this cube and then eventually a person move around feel similar to, like, a 3D platformer character that I'm fake moving with being an AI. But, like, he's, like, running and jumping around in an environment as just a cool, like, little subtle background thing that's just going on below the stream as I'm rambling and whatnot. I think it will be cool. And then I always want to continue to, like, develop it, add more coolness to it, both from the graphical side of having cool visuals and from the programming side of it's neat how that how that character physically moves around and the physical obstacles they have to go around and yada yada. And then, see how far I take that. It would then also be cool if people could type stuff in chat that then affects what's going on somehow. That'd be additional cool thing. But it's like, we started this last stream, so it has made like 0 progress. And most of the ideas I'm saying I came up with yesterday. So yeah, I had for a while, since I first had the idea of the below the stream animation thing, this was kind of what I had in mind of something I wanted to do, was a character running around in an environment. But now actually implementing it more specifically, yeah. The style reminds me of Octodad when it was popular in 2016. Haha. Yeah, Octodad was made in Unity, so maybe that ain't no coincidence. But yeah, I mean, all this is like placeholder stuff right now. Like, this is just stuff I whipped up as fast as I could just for the sake of, yeah, environmental things. I do have, oh, are you still functional? I think I tested this last stream, and it's like you kind of are, but kind of aren't. Yeah, we have, the old player is over here. Look at this guy. Eventually, he'll get back to having this model. I just stripped him away just to his, like, bare colliders of a sphere and then, like, a cylinder, just to test the pure physics and whatnot. Even he doesn't lean. The, old one over here, where'd he go? How did you get up there? Okay. Like, he leans. Eventually, like, this current player will have everything the old one did and more. But, see, this old one can't do this. Can't do, oh, right. With the old camera is on, and that's messing with everything. Oh, boy. Oh God. Okay, the camera's freaking out because it does not like the old camera existing. Get out of here, you. Yeah, I don't know why that specifically broke, but it did. Anyways, the new player can do this. Now, again, when I stop, I will fall down, is the idea. Gravity will be a thing. But I want, if you're going fast enough, you can just, yeah. And also the camera for this specifically, I see is very jittery. Like, there's so much jitter to, like, smooth out. That's still, like, everything here is still a work in progress. But I'm hoping to kind of get it to be good. But the idea of having this way more momentum-based character. Cool, and be able to actually do stuff like loop-de-loops and go up walls with enough speed. That is stuff that I want out of this character, and then have that be a part of the level design. But then also having lots of obstacles and whatnot. Like, this is just slopes and stuff, you know, this, that to eventually be filled with all these hazards and obstacles, and then the actual objectives of the game, which is, you know, getting to all the rides that you're repairing and whatnot. Yeah, so obviously this is, you know, very bare bones, but that's kind of how test levels be, especially with the character being in such an early state now. Anyways, where was I going with that? Yeah, so, this is still, like, very much a work in progress, but over the next many streams, that's the plan, is to make it all actually work. So this, and then this, are the current plans for the next little bit, and then some streams of just playing games here and there for variety, for funsies. I think tomorrow, well, because it's Halloween, I don't know if I'll stream it all tomorrow, we'll see. If I do, we're going to be finishing off Lost in Random, getting those last few achievements and whatnot, and yeah, and then go from there. But yeah. Anywho, character. Now that I finished my ramble, I've like completely lost my train of thought with whatever it is I was saying or whatever else I was gonna say. So, I have plans for this, but yeah, we're not doing this right now. Gotta figure out what I'm actually doing, how I'm going to achieve the next things that I want to achieve. Because unfortunately, it keeps being the case that like whenever I take a break from, not even just Unity, mainly Blender, when I take a break from like not making 3D models and Blender stuff for a bit, I then like go to make anything. It's like, how do I even make a table? I don't know anymore. Like I look back at previous stuff that I've made, like my current logo that is in that direction, I think. Like, I made that. I made a 3D model of, like, myself or whatever. I made the explosion. I made a T-Rex doing a kickflip. But then I take a break, and then I'm like, how do I make a door? Blender skills gone. And it happens, like, every time. Very unfortunate, but, I'll get back. I'll get back to it and, figure it out. But, anyway. So for now, though, we're doing pure programming stuff. But even this programming stuff is being hard. This is easily like the most difficult player character. Like I've programmed quite a few players in the past, but this is the most complicated because I've made it the most complicated with all the things that I want it to do, and things that are then very difficult to get reference for. I knew that what I was kind of trying to do is uncommon, but like it's been really hard to find any kind of good reference for actually having a player that goes up walls and does full like upside down 360-ness, you know. It's common for characters to stay to the ground. Especially with the camera, getting the camera to like do this was tricky. Or even what I was trying to initially do was have the camera stay down, but if you go through a loop, you know, it's staying like that, and then the input like rerouting based on the floor. That was like impossible. That was a struggle. I know some games will do like wall running and whatnot, but you still have like gravity universally going down, or you have Sonic games where you do loop-de-loop. But a lot of times with that, it's just like it cheats, it like automates it and whatever. But yeah, even still, it's yeah. So it's not like stuff has been kind of done before, but not a whole lot. Especially in ways that I can actually find like code references for or whatever. But specifically, you know, done in like Unity or whatever. Anyways, so now I have to decide kind of, you know, what's the next specific thing I want to do with this, and how the heck I'm going to do it, and then we enter the phase of the stream where I and ha for hours of, yeah, how to do stuff. I much prefer when I'm programming, like anything that's not a player, when it's like, oh, UI things, or like enemies or collectibles or whatever. When I go into stuff like that, I have a much better idea of how to do it, and I can localize the problem and then just get stuff done one by one. Can it climb a wall? Currently, yes, but it doesn't have all the features. It's like, technically, yes. I climb this wall, I can get to the top and be up here, but that isn't how that should necessarily look. For one thing, gravity will eventually be a thing, where if I stop, I should fall off the wall. But I want to be generous with it, and I want to cheat a little bit, in that, like, I don't want the player to like be going up a wall and like fall. I mean the straight walls. Can it? Not yet, but I have plans. So I can't go up to this and immediately go up it. The idea is that you need some kind of slope or whatever. However, something that I want to do with the aerial movement, I want to be able to... I want to set something. Let me set a thing. Hold on. I set a thing to just, like, show an idea. I want to be able to do this. If I get... Nah, that's not good enough for my test pod. Okay. If I go off a ramp and in midair, I want the wheel of the player to orient in midair based on your velocity. And so if I'm flying through the air and I fly into a wall, I want it to then be like a wall run kind of situation where you then start... It's a unicycle, so you're riding, but running and running along a wall with unicycle. I want that to be a thing that can be done. But in terms of just pure running into a 90-degree wall, not necessarily. Because I want to be able to have walls that, like, I don't want the player to be able to go up and around everything. There has to be some limits for me to be able to have an environment that the player can't just escape from. And I ideally don't want to just invisible wall a bunch of things. Yeah. In terms of walls, though, one thing I do want to have as a cool obstacle, I want to be able to have magnet walls that do this, essentially. So normally it's like, it's going to be entirely based on your speed. They're like, oh, if you're on a normal wall, ideally, it's like, as long as you're moving, you're going to basically stick to whatever surface you're on, because I want to be able to sort of cheat that. If you stop, then you'll, like, fall off, or go under some certain speed threshold or whatever. But I want some magnet walls that you can stop and stay on them and then, move around more, like, yeah. Like, that could be cool. And then even maybe a wall that has, like, magnet sections and then non-magnet sections. If you're on the non-magnet sections, you'll fall off. But you have to keep going from, like, magnet part to magnet part. Stuff like that could be cool. Can you just... apparently, I can't read sentences. Can you just angle it just right to be able to climb a straight wall? What do you mean? So, okay, I have to, yeah, okay, if I, like, go off, like, the tiniest of ramp and in theory, like, land on this, yeah, like, that might be a thing that happens. That's stuff I gotta figure out. But I want the idea of, like, getting launched into a wall and then going along the wall. That seems cool, so I would like to have that. But then, yeah, I might have to make sacrifices. That idea seems very cool, especially the idea of, like, if you have two walls together and, like, no floor, two walls together and you're going here and you get launched off and then you're on this wall and then launched off on that wall, like, that movement sounds really cool in a level. But yeah, if that means, like, any tiny ramp you go off of then can do that, yeah, I have to figure that out. I don't know if, like, to some degree I might be able to cheat, like, if I really don't want the player to climb this specific wall to make it look like it's slippery or something, and then, oh, you can't touch that wall at all because it's slippery. But in theory, I don't have to do that to 90% of the walls in the game, maybe. I don't know. I think a lot of that's going to be figured out when we go to make a real level. The first level that we're actually going to be making is entirely interior, so if you are walking on the walls and ceiling, it wouldn't break everything to the point of, like, making the level just not work anymore, in theory. But then, I guess my worry there is when we make an exterior level, but I'm sure, I could probably just find creative ways to, certainly there's stuff I can do within the level design to prevent that. If I want to say, this is a wall at the edge of the map, you cannot climb it, I do not want the player climbing it, then the solution is just to design the wall in a way where it has one of these, right? Like, you go up this, ideally, it's perfectly 90 degrees. Like, if you go up this wall a bit, you are not getting on this ceiling, in theory. Just having stuff that stops you. It doesn't even have to be sticking out that much. It can just be a tiny little, like, right? In theory, maybe, there are options. I see that problem, and I see potential solutions. It also, if you're going up a wall, you need to have speed, right? So I said that if you're going too slow, you're not gonna stick to walls. So then if this wall is super bumpy and, isn't that long of a wall, then that might also be a problem that solves itself. But, yeah, okay, so you can say that we thought about it, and, like, could be a potential problem. But the pros and cons, and I think the pros outweigh the cons, assuming I can actually program it. That's, like, an additional thing is actually be able to physically program the thing, because physics are hard. I've also noticed my camera is slightly... I'm considering getting a new webcam. or a camera of some kind. But yeah, that might happen. This current one keeps turning. It doesn't like stay still. And then also, you always don't notice because it's all, you know, I'm tiny in the corner. But if I go, wow, oh geez, okay. I was going to say full screen webcam. Why is it like that? Okay, it's the flipped one. I don't know if you can tell. You can tell up here. There's very, very tiny flickering, and I have no idea why, and I can't figure out how to have it not do that. At first, when that was happening, I thought that maybe because I was on an old computer that was many years old and it was worse. But then I went to a new computer and same issues. So it's like, that's not great. Hold on, let me just fix this while it's on my mind. Yeah, I'm considering actually even in this scene, I'm considering rearranging some stuff. I'm gonna undo this in a second, but just as a conceptual thing, I'm considering something that might also help me make doing this and fitting an animation in 200 tall by 1920 over, or maybe a little bit easier. I'm considering. Whoa. Why is that doing that? Hold on. I'm considering potentially moving me down here and then having chat. I'm gonna undo this in a second. If I am to do this, I'm gonna actually do it like properly. With things being rearranged and then me being like, whoa. Hold on. Potentially doing like this and like something along that, but resized and actually done better in 10 seconds, and then having above the stream being just chat with my growing circles animation going up there, and then over there being my other one. What I might flip me around, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna undo that before I accidentally like make it do something like where I can't go back. Something that I'm considering. Not 100% certain if I want to go down that route. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, everything good? Everything unbroken? Good. Because that would partially solve my problem, and then I wouldn't need this Unity scene to be 90% of it just black. I could have the camera just actually be like bleh, and then work with that. Let me undo. Okay. Anyways, but that's nothing's set in stone with that. One thing I am getting in terms of improving my stream stuff, I'm getting a stream deck. A Steam Deck and a Stream Deck are one letter apart, and they're two very different things. I'm getting a Stream Deck, one of those things that you have that has all the hotkey buttons and whatnot. I'm getting one of those, and then potentially do stuff with it to sort of automate stuff with my stream would be cool. Such as when if I continue to go with having multiple of these background animations, having like buttons that I hook up to this program to switch between them. Steam Deck and a Stream Deck. Yeah, those are. One of them is Steam's little like console thing that like Steam Deck. Wow, I'm pressing all the wrong buttons I can get. One of these. Not the yeah. This is not sorry. This is not one. Not this one. I know this oh cool. I was gonna make one. I 3D printed a shell and I just need Arduino. Oh, that's so cool. Very cool. Yeah, no, I went the lazy man route. Not this. This is the console thing. Is it right to call it a console? Like it is and isn't? It's like you're streaming Steam games onto a thing. Like console is like the generic word I'm going to use, even if it's not the fully correct one. One of these that you can program buttons on it. Now, like, do I need all of these buttons? We'll see. But having just different stuff, automating different stuff, being able to like start and stop the background music, being able to like easily like even maybe a thing to start and stop the stream would be cool. Remember like at the end of every single stream where I go like, oh, see you around, and then I go have to press like a bunch of buttons to actually stop the stream. It'd be like, haha, hand off screen. Like, yeah, that stuff, a bunch of like little things that I can do just make my life be slightly more professional. I don't know. Even if I want to like, do OBS things, I'd be like, oh, switch to full screen, just put it to a button. Now, I only have so many buttons to work with. I got the expensive one that has like 15 buttons, so 15 to work with. Yeah, so that's stuff. So then we will potentially get more stream content out of me figuring out how to set up that stuff and potentially having to write code to do that. I actually don't know how you hook up what the buttons do to what, but I'm sure, I'll figure stuff out with tutorials and then, maybe have some interesting codingness. But I know that, it's set up specifically, do stuff for streaming and working with OBS and whatnot. Like, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so potentially, improving. One of many, small things we'll be doing over the next bit, improving stream stuff. Love the movement. Thank you. Yeah, 'tis cool. it will hopefully be cooler. Looks pretty good. Thank you. I don't have an easy way to show the old movement for comparison because it's like all the old stuff is currently like broken right now. I look forward to when, you know, everything's all working again and it's not all broken. Unfortunately, so like on paper, this movement is, yeah, turned out pretty decently right now. It's just, there's a whole bunch of like little problems with it. And then, you know, big things that aren't fully functional yet with like the gravity. And there's no visuals here. Eventually we're going to bring back the guy and the actual wheels and everything with that. So fun fact, this player doesn't actually turn. Let me actually double check that is still true. Is the player? Yeah, the player, this cylinder and sphere are not turning around. It's all like, you know, moving in. All right, that's a whole separate thing. Yeah, there's some wonkiness with that. With the code that's sort of like meant to angle the player towards the ground. Yeah, that happens sometimes, and that's stuff that I gotta figure out. Although, some of that might be from just the environment. Like, on a slope like this, it's totally fine. But this, that I know, like, the model for this is all janky. But, I mean, ideally, can't wait to watch speedrunners play this game. Yeah, ideally, I want the game to be, like, good for, like, good movement. That's the main thing that I wanted of why I wanted to improve the movement. Because, so, I say that the point of this game... Why are you still jittering? Interesting. The main drive of like what you're doing in this game is here's stuff that's breaking around the map. You're running around to all these points to fix stuff. So it's like your goal is to get from point A to point B, fix the thing, go over here, go over here. Although it being this time management thing of like, oh no, stuff is breaking there and there. I've memorized the map a bit. What's the best path to take to repair all the things in time? Oh, I remember there's a shortcut if I go that way. And then like, whatever, like, yeah, so like, even though like that one's slightly closer, somehow it's faster if I go to that one because I can take this ramp and blah, 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 and then I replace that one and then I repair that one and ta-da. Or with the repairing mechanic, there's even gonna be like, if I waste time to repair this optional thing, now it opens a door and that's a shortcut across the level. Stuff like that could be cool. Anyways, so getting to the point I was actually intending to make with that sentence, even though that's like the overarching, the drive of the player to go around the level, the main thing I want the gameplay to be about is the movement. The going from point A to point B is more like to justify, or it's more the excuse for the player to run around the map, but I want the movement itself to be good. Moving around to be fun. And then, you know, not just moving on flat ground, but having like the terrain you're moving around be cool with. The ramps and the going on walls and the loops and all that. But then also having lots of hazards and the game ideally being, you know, decently difficult of like, you know, I'm on a wall, but I'm being shot at by cannons that I gotta move around and like, oh, electrical floors and blah, blah, blah. Because then that's another thing that plays into the, another thing that matters for the, oh, I can either take this fast path that's really dangerous, and if I go through it, I might get hit, or I can take this slower path, but there's less obstacles, but it's like safer, and like that could be a thing for the player to have to juggle with or whatever. So yeah, that would be cool. But then I also, for variety's sake, I want to have the occasional level that's just like completely linear of like, oh, you're just point A, get to point B, that's it. I imagine especially like the first level of the game, while it's all in tutorial land, it's probably going to be like that. And then the objectives, as I said, the main thing is like, oh, you know, excuses for the player to run here, then run here, then run here. I want to present that in interesting ways, where the most common thing is, it's a carnival, rides are breaking, go repair the rides before they completely break and you get a strike, 3 strikes, you're out. But then, like, we have the submarine level where, oh no, there's cracks in the submarine, lava, actually, because it's a submarine in lava, but it's fine. Lava's pouring in, you gotta go repair the cracks or the submarine will explode or whatever. So it's like, same idea, presented in a different way for variety, so it's more interesting, and, you know, more stuff like that. I want a level that is a prison break, because reasons. I want to do a prison break level, and I want to do a heist level, 2 very different parts of the game. I want to do a heist where you're breaking in somewhere and stealing stuff, but with this kind of gameplay. So like, I have plans and variety. I don't, whether I do this level is entirely based on if I can program it. make good enough AI to do this, I want a level where you're dealing with like a rival handyman person, where you and an AI controlled person running around a map having to repair stuff, and you having to repair stuff first. But then an interesting dynamic where here's stuff that's breaking. You want to be the first one. You want to repair the most things so that you win or whatever. However, you can maybe do stuff to slow the AI down. Maybe they can do stuff to slow you down. But if no one repairs the thing and it runs all the way out, you both get a strike. Like, it's bad for both of you. So there's a tiny bit of like helping but also competing against. Like, it's bad for both of you if it completely breaks, but of course, but you want to be the one to fix it first, or otherwise you'll lose. If I can make that work, it would be cool. Now, getting an AI to do all the going up walls and stuff, difficult. But I imagine I can cheat. If I actually go to make that kind of a level, I imagine the environment for that level might be simpler for whatever the AI can handle. I might make an, AI Unicycle Man, but have the environment itself for that level be a little bit pulled back so that it can function. So I could definitely, potentially cheat. But we'll see. So that's an example of an interesting level that we could have. And then I have, more ideas. Anyways. But before I do any of that at all, we gotta get this player to actually exist. It's so much easier to have ideas rather than actually implement them and make them good and turn out a tenth of like how good I can imagine them in my head compared to like actually making them and be able to actually do graphical things with Unity and Blender and whatnot. It's like even like lighting in Unity is something I've quite struggled with. Now currently I'm building this game in the universal render pipeline with Unity. I've considered of the 3 render pipelines that Unity offers technically there's the default render pipeline, the universal render pipeline, and the HD render pipeline. These 2 are under the umbrella of something called scriptable render pipelines. You can sort of make your own extremely customized thing. I've gone back and forth over which one I prefer to use or whatever. Currently, I'm going with the universal render pipeline for performance because for all the programming stuff that I want this game to be able to handle, I want it to be able to run good because the game looks amazing, but it runs at 10 FPS. That's not good. So I should be conscious with this game to kind of prioritize, performance over the HD render pipeline, which can supposedly look better, but requires a lot more optimization. Because a whole other thing I want with this game that could be also cool for speedrunning is that I want this game to have no loading screens technically. Have it have a lot of background loading, and we already have some of that involved. I think the runtime fee affects 2023 versions of Unity. Yes, and so so the Unity stuff that happened affecting pricing things, they did kind of go back on. Partially, they didn't go back fully. And you can see, if you can even see the 2 pixels that it is. I'm using currently version 2023.1.18 F1. The runtime fee effects, last time I checked, only affect you if you make over $200,000. You pay blah percent, whatever it is, as whatever percent royalty to Unity. And then if you cross $1 million, then you pay an additional amount. I think that's what it is. Maybe I have. I thought it was 2 tiers. I think they changed stuff, so I forget exactly what it is now. There's no way that's going to affect me. I don't expect this game to make $200,000. If it makes $2, I'll be happy. Nah. If I make the entirety of this game in 2023 and then last minute just downgrade it to 2022, I'll be like, it still works. That'd be funny. But yeah, I don't know. One benefit you get out of 2023 Unity is I don't know if they've done it yet, but I believe they said they were going to. Is making it free for now. The splash screen is the words English. They're making the splash screen, making that optional finally. So I don't have to upgrade to Unity Pro just to get rid of the splash screen. So that's something cool. But I have no idea. So realistically, I have no idea how much I'd sell this game for. That entirely depends on how good the end product is and if I feel it's worthy of being sold at all. I plan on first making a demo of the game. That's going to be like a 3-level package. And that's going to be free, I imagine. It'd be cool. One thing that I think would be cool is to make a big game and then release all the source code so people can like, be like, oh yeah, here's how it was programmed and whatnot. Because I've always wanted, like, I always think it's cool to see that kind of behind the scenes stuff. You know, big games and like, you know, learning how they were intricately programmed. It'd be really funny, probably stupid, but it'd be kind of funny if this game had like, you could 100% it. Well, I do have ideas for how it can be 100%able. You 100% it, and the reward is just, here's the link to the GitHub where you can download the source code. I'm probably not doing that because no one would get that except for a programmer, but it'd be funny. Conceivably, for a joke, it'd be funny, but in actuality, I probably wouldn't do that. But yeah, we'll see. Like, it's hard to fathom where this would even be at the point of it, you know, actually releasing, because there's so much game to make. We so far down the line. Remember, at Easter eggs would be cool. Yeah. In terms of like an actual 100% reward, I don't even know what that's going to be yet. I got to figure out like more of the gameplay mechanics. There's another cool gameplay mechanic that is not even coded in here at all, but that would also be super cool, that I'm hoping to have, is, so on surface level, it's some level, so before I say the thing, let me say it first, additional thing. I purposely want the controls of this game to be on the simpler side, where it's pretty much, okay, that's right, yeah, I need to fix that. I actually have no idea why it's super fast on controller, but that is a thing to be fixed. Octodad Easter egg would be pretty funny. I don't think I would have Easter eggs referencing other games. One, copyright, legally stuff. And, although, on that train of thought, I have, you know, different games that I want to make and stuff I might be working on at the same time, like, or like even just different stuff we're doing in the stream. Having references to that kind of stuff would be cool. I have this other game that I want to be making called, well, it started as a tag game for a school project, so the name is just called Ultra Tag right now, but I want to give it a better, like, actual name, so whatever that ends up being called, at some point the idea was that I'd be working on this game and that game at the same time, except that game was a lot smaller scoped and more just an excuse to practice, to figure out how to do, like, multiplayer networking stuff. But if I do, and I'm getting to the point where I'm working on this at the same time, them having references to each other would be cool. Yeah, where, like, it'd be easy enough to just, like, in that game, in like the background on a billboard, have some poster that's like advertising the carnival in this game, and then Easter egg in this game and that game, like something similar, just like if that game's gonna have like a big over-the-top, like purposely cartoony villain, so just something that references like that or something. But yeah, we'll see. I was gonna say something else though. Oh, another mechanic. So I want the controls of this game to be relatively simple. Where it's basically just moving around, moving the camera, and then A to interact, which will mostly mean repairing, but potentially like, oh, you know, pull this lever and then stuff happens. I want some levels where just for that level we introduce new buttons doing things, but doing it in a way where in-game it makes sense and like is done in a way that I think will be cool for the gameplay and the story and will like make sense in a way that won't be confusing to the player. I want this game to have other, you know, characters in it as far as the story goes or whatever. And I want, in some levels, a character is helping you out to do stuff in the level, and then you press this button to have them do a thing as this sort of like helping mechanic. But then it can change for different levels, such as like one idea that like it isn't a great one, but as an example, like, oh, this level has like electric floors like everywhere. But only like half of them are on, and then there's a person on the other side of the map talking to a walkie-talkie like, oh, I'm at this like the electrical stuff, like I can't turn them off completely, but I can pull this lever, so that's either like these half are on or these half are on. So they tell the player with some prompt like press this button to like call them to, you know, flick that lever or whatever. So it's like, oh, you know, all these electric things are on, press the button, ta-ta, now the other half, like half the hazards turn off and the other half turn on or something like that. And then you're going through a level where you, maybe in that specific example, that probably would have some cooldown, so you can't just spam it, but like some amount of like, yeah, just that's an interesting mechanic of like turning off and on hazards, but it's like framed in a way where it's like, oh, you're getting a character to help you do stuff. Another example, one idea I'd like is have a level where someone's like riding on your back, like you're either giving them like a piggyback or whatever, and they're throwing water balloons at stuff. Like maybe there's a bunch of targets around the level and you go near them, you press the button and then they throw a water balloon at the thing. Just stuff like that would be interesting. Now I'm not a fan of, like, I don't really want to make a shooter game in this, so that particular idea, like I could frame it like, oh, you actually look at the thing with a reticle and then shoot. I think I would rather like you, the player, are focusing on the movement. You have to get kind of in range. You press the button, he'll auto aim and like turn and throw it. Would be how I'd rather implement that specific kind of thing. But you know, we'll see. Yeah, so then just different levels that have that kind of thing. Then there could be some returning mechanics. Might be a bit buggy, possibly, but might not be. Of gravity. Oh, right, if you're throwing things in an arc and then gravity. Sure, yeah, so like, those are just examples. In like practice, I don't know like what things I'd actually go with. And now, those two examples both are just tied to one button. I could then, you know, if I'm sticking with like the face, whatever the technical name for these buttons, tie like all three of the top ones to some level where you're doing, you know, things. Yeah, would be pretty cool. And then later in the game, wouldn't do this at first. Maybe later in the game, be like, oh, let's bring back two of those mechanics. Let's say, you know, this one level where person on your back throwing water balloons and also the electric hazard thing. And yeah, you put both buttons at once. Whoa. But doing it, ideally, it happened like that kind of thing would happen very gradually later in the game. So it wouldn't be too overwhelming to the player. They'd be like, oh, I recognize this. I know what I'm doing. Blah. But those are just two ideas. Like, one, I don't know how often this kind of thing would pop up in the game. It wouldn't be like every level. It'd be the occasional like, oh, new thing for variety's sake. Coolsies. And then it also just is cool from a story perspective that then other characters in the game get to like do more as the story. I think that's secondary cool part, is that then, yeah, get to have more memorable character moments from that kind of stuff. Anyways, but that's like, I haven't even coded anything with that yet. Like, that is done later. The base character stuff needs to exist and work and be done first. And then, as you said, with some stuff like that could potentially be buggy, I can cheat where, like, if I want, oh, this one mechanic in this one level, but it has, you know, these restrictions, just don't have those restrictions in that one level. Like, if I have this certain helper mechanic that does not work at all when the player is perfectly upside down, then just make that particular level not have any upside down parts. But in theory, ideally, that doesn't happen. In theory, ideally, I make it work, but that would be like the backup plan, I suppose. But anyway, that's a lot further down the line. I gotta make a lot more systems work first. But yeah, 'tis ideas, stuff that I have thought about. And there's like a lot more plans I have stuff with this game that I've rambled about over many streams. But yeah, gotta get through this first part first. Because like, when we had the old player, we did have a lot more of the game mechanics working. We had the repairing, we had hazards, you could fall off a level and then like respawn. We have a hub world, we had cannons you can get shot out of. Cannons that you can't aim, they like have a fixed path, you get shot in that path. The idea of also having cannons that you could actually aim also seems cool. That could be a thing we have at some point. We had tight ropes that you actually had to like balance on, or you could like fall off them. So I said we had a hub world that you then transition between different levels. It has cool UI for how you do that. The levels themselves have hard modes. And like we did some programming for how that can be a thing. So there's a lot that exists. It's just all not working right now because the player is a mess. Which I knew would happen. I do technically, it's not all, like, I have this project on GitHub where I can roll back to when it was working or whatever, but yeah, not right now. I usually just get a player character from the asset store. Sometimes they make changes to it. Yeah, that's fair. I personally haven't gotten that much stuff from like asset store stuff. I, to some degree, have this mentality of like, I must do everything manually myself from scratch. Not to the point of make my own game engine, but pretty close. I've been trying to like do less of that. I am like with this game, I'm tempted to maybe get some asset store stuff. Maybe not so much for models, because models is tricky where like if you do get some asset store models, it can be hard to have consistency, I think. If you could have like this model pack and this model pack and try to have a level with like both of them, then yeah, having like consistency with stuff, you know, gets to be difficult. Especially like, you know, with characters. If I want to make original characters, I'm gonna have to make them myself. I guess there's the idea of, you know, take stuff and modify, but I expect for the characters in this game, I'm gonna be making them myself or whatever. In terms of like code and whatnot, I am aware that the specific kind of character that I'm trying to make is quite unorthodox and extra complicated. So I'm expecting to have, this is a hard, difficult character to have to program and make work with all the physics and whatnot, but I am hoping that I can successfully do it, and we'll see. I'm sure like, it's going to be hard, it's going to be complicated, it's going to take a while, it's going to be very buggy for a while, but I'm hoping I can get to the other side and have it turn out well. But then, so other than like models and characters, for things like, I'm thinking that I might look into, some asset store stuff for things like skyboxes, or even like, why is the player turning? That shouldn't be happening. And speaking of bugs, lighting's a big one. If I can find any like asset stuff to make the lighting better, that's totally something I want to capitalize on if I can. Stuff like that, and like maybe like post-processing things, and like I don't know if I do anything for the camera specifically. I have to already do some like camera stuff to do this. Before I had like a camera that like more smoothly followed the player, not directly sticking to them, but in order to make this work, I had to make the camera like perfectly follow the player for now, and eventually might kind of readdress that. Okay, as far as the camera goes, I just wanted to get it to like function first, and then I can smooth it out later. As is the case with a lot of this current player stuff. But anyways, so we'll see how that goes, especially when I get into the more of the stage of this of like really polishing the game. I do have over here. This will, in theory, eventually be our first real level, which is going to be level 2 of the demo. I made a thing that I decided that with this 3-level demo I want to make the second middle level of it first, and then go back and make the first level and figure out whatever tutorial stuff I want to do, and then go forward and make the 3rd level. That's just the order I want to do it, because reasons. And then we'll figure out how that then translates to the so-called real game. Now, one thing I don't know how it's going to go is when we have the new player, I don't know how much I'm going to have to redesign this level. I mean, right now it's still very much in planning stages, so I, wouldn't be completely redoing as it doesn't fully exist yet. All these lines are just representing ideas, conceptual ideas of stuff that I want to be in certain parts of the level. So I don't know how much this is going to need an overhaul when I go into this with the real character, or with the new character, but, we'll see. I did have parts of this that I do have in mind, things to do with the new character. Like, over here, we're going to have, like, a glass pipe that is, like, the cylinder, like, the pipe that was in the player testing scene before, so, like, that'll be a thing. This over here is going to be a magnet wall, so, that's that part. I think what's missing from here is potentially things that force the player to have to go upside down, but, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But before I, do anything with this, I need the player to actually... I did not make any changes. Get the player to actually function in the first place. Okay. So, in terms of actually, improving, like, actually programming player stuff, it's tricky. This is very tricky. Especially, I haven't looked at this code in quite a bit. So, especially one thing I was really struggling with was this whole momentum thing, because I want the character to have momentum, but I don't want it to rely entirely on just Unity's physics engine, like the rigid body physics, to do that, because there's quite a lot of a degree where I don't want just realistic momentum. I want cartoony momentum, where, like, in a way, there's stuff that I want to do that doesn't completely go along normal physics, such as I want the player to be able to, run along walls for a long period of time without just falling. If they have speed, I want gravity to be like non-existent, effectively. But then I'm also trying to figure out having momentum in terms of, like, I'm going forward in a direction for a while, so I start to pick up speed, I'm moving really fast. If I go off a ramp, let me just see if I can... I want to go off a ramp with a lot of speed. Hold on. Yeah, like, you launch through the air. If I let go in midair, I don't just, like, stop it and drop or whatever. But then I also want that to compete with... I want the movement to be snappy. If I turn around, I want to turn around almost immediately. Maybe not completely instantly, but for the most part, pretty, like, I want the controls to be responsive so that when I'm having to weave around hazards and stuff, I want that to be an easily-ish doable thing. But then I also want the player to be able to go pretty fast because unicycle. But then I also want terrain to matter in that, like, I want it to sometimes be necessary. If I want to go off that ramp and clear that gap, I need to, you know, go down a ramp, pick up a lot of speed, and go. Which currently, you know, doesn't quite happen. I might also cheat the camera a bit, where, like, so right now, in order to work with these slopes, the camera turning as the player goes, any little slope makes the camera turn, which I don't know if I want it to do that. I mean, it could potentially be cool to have the camera be all, whoa, wibbly wobbly. But maybe I might have some threshold where if I only go on like a little slope, then the camera doesn't turn. It's only when I cross a certain point, then the camera starts to turn. That's a thing I could do. But I'm not super concerned about the camera right now. I kind of want to, like, the camera's good enough for right now that I want to more just focus on here the player. I just needed the camera to be able to turn with slopes just so that the input worked. I want to focus mostly on the player, and then the camera will follow. Okay, that being said, I would like to figure out why this is super fast, because that should be a 2-second fix. I need to remember where I get where's the camera turning code specifically. This, right. I did separate out the horizontal turning and the vertical turning. Oh yeah, no, right. I did put in. Why is that the way that I did this? Whatever. It's fine. I believe that it's just that I have sensitivity numbers on the camera. Right. This is mostly how this camera's complicated is just to work with, like, all the things it needs to do with following the player and turning with the controllers and whatnot, but then also turning based on slopes. There's like the camera's like a lot of buried stuff. There's camera pivot, slope pivot, horizontal pivot, input forward, and then vertical pivot, because yeah, this was if the camera turns up and down from the mouse, that shouldn't affect like the movement direction. So effectively we have to be like flattened along, the way that the player's facing. Yeah. And then flattened along like the way that the player is facing, and then but then have the vertical pivot. That's why I separated those. And then we have camera ideal position, which then also has code for the zooming. And then I have the camera as its own separate thing that then smoothly. Well, right now I believe it moves pretty fast. But the idea is like this is the ideal camera position, as if it's very snap stick to the player. And then this the actual camera is gonna smoothly move to that spot, but then can also be hijacked if like a cutscene happens of, okay, move over here, don't care about the player at all, and then go back to them. That's the idea anyway. And then I have there's other cameras for some of the UI stuff that is turned off right now because it's also broken. The UI that's supposed to be on screen for the objectives and the strikes, and then the pause screen. Well, you can see a bit of it down here. Yeah, the level complete stuff as well. Whoops, you got sued. Yeah. Anyway, so camera is moving way too much, even though control sensitivity is that. Do I? Eventually, I imagine like this. I programmed in a hurry. And eventually, ideally, I remap stuff like sensitivity through like an options menu or whatever, where it can actually be adjusted. But for now, I just want like good enough numbers. So I'm just gonna try halving them and see that actually works. Yeah. I just want it to be like close enough. I'd rather, just be a bit slower. And then, no, that's the vertical one. Vertical one I want it to be a lot slower, and then the horizontal one is a little bit slower. Okay, yeah, so I thought this was just gonna be the numbers, which, well, yeah. Cool. If I want to change it later, I totally can. Little bit smaller. Good enough. Maybe it's a bit slow, but for now it's good. Yeah. And then whee. Yeah. Anyways, so now it's already 11. Don't have a whole lot of time. left. I did say today was going to be a bit of a short stream, but wait, I was changing stuff off camera, right? Yes. I don't know if I also want to make like a setup so that I can, if I want to be working on going between 2 monitors, having a thing for that. But for now, nah. Just sticking with whatever the stream can see. Yeah, sticking with that. So I haven't looked at this code in a little bit, but there are a few different chunks to it. There's the getting the input and sort of mapping it based on like the slope that you're on and whatnot. There's the movement, which in itself has stuff with, nope, get me here. Movement stuff, which as part of it, where's the momentum? Where's the momentum part? Wait, what? There it is. Yeah, oh wait. Oh yeah, you happen here. Right, I forgot you do that. Right, that's weird. Getting the input, it adjusts some of it based on momentum things. And then that goes into applying the movement, which has all this complicated stuff that I might be going to be changing some things with. The aligning to ground part, that is the aligning based on slopes. Some fall code that's going to need more with it for... there's very little here in terms of how things behave when you're in midair. That'll eventually be a thing. Code for knowing we're on the ground, and then some debug stuff I was drawing down here for that's these that's when I was also doing like slope and ground stuff, just still to see what was going on, that it was indeed sort of mapping correctly. And that purple is, yeah, like the sort of forward of the player. Yep. Which, now that, like, that part of it's at least working, like, I don't necessarily need that anymore, but I'm not going to delete that right now. So, one thing I have to... So, the first thing I want to do above all else is that, one, the going down slopes used to be better, and in getting the, like, going fully onto walls part working, it made going down slopes worse. I remember that before I could go down this launch off ramps and it like worked better. There's like a little bit of jankiness to it, and yeah, not just with the camera turning. I would like to figure out whatever's going on when I do this. That's a whole separate thing to fix, which I don't know if that's just the fault of the camera or the player or a bit of both. I'm pretty sure it's the align to ground code that's just freaking out. Actually, I can prove it, but work on my game at the moment. Very, very cool. Cool. So am I. Could you tell? No. And then all this momentum stuff. I try to have... I don't know if I want to go about this in a different way, but actually one thing I'd just like to show is I want to comment out that... Which this maybe shouldn't be in here. This may be one of these functions out here, but oh well. Let me just turn off some code for a second to show off some things. So, okay, yeah, now we don't fall. Do I? Right, this happens, yeah. Which, sure. Wait, why do you happen that way? Oh, right, I forgot that I think the fall code currently also applies, so that, because I want that if you're going along walls and on the ceiling, I want to cheat and, like, make the player kind of stick to being on the walls and upside down for the sake of the gameplay. I don't want you, if you're moving fast, I don't want you to fall off a loop-de-loop, right? So there's cheating going on there. But part of that is I'm effectively applying gravity. If you're upside down, I'm sort of applying gravity upwards. Yeah, I forgot that that's a thing that kind of happens, which, yeah, sure. If it works, it works. What's this? Oh, that's part of like the sprite camera thing, I think. Anyways, but I wanted to just see real quick. If I do this, yeah, you're gonna... Never mind, no, you don't move fast. I had these poles. At one point in development, I was like, oh, a good, like, speed. If I move down this slope, I should get enough speed to sort of at least clear this gap. And I don't know if that, you know. I mean, I should at least clear the gap. I might want enough speed to go even further than that, but we'll see. What was I gonna show? Oh, that I believe when I do this, now, yeah, that weird camera snapping isn't happening, so, like, definitely seems to be a weird camera issue. No, not a camera issue. Sorry, it seems to be a issue with the align to ground stuff. I think one thing that I would like to do is address the fact that when I have the momentum stuff on, oh, it is, yeah. Even though it's to some degree expected that if I'm moving with a controller and I'm moving with a keyboard, the movement's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be exactly the same because, like, main thing is having more axes of movement. But if I'm pressing A, moving in one direction, and I hold the control stick in a direction, like, currently it's different. It's quite noticeably different, and I don't like it being that inconsistent. And I partially know why it's this way because of stuff that I coded, but I think sooner than later, I would like to address this and have it not be that way. Also, yeah, right. The player moves a lot slower when I turn off the momentum. That is the thing. But I can, like, one thing I want to, make sure can be done. I've been kind of using these purple, like, goalposts as a reference for this. I want the player to be able to, like, move fast and, you go off a ramp and you get decent distance out of that. But I want navigating around stuff to be pretty easy. If I have, like, just as an example, just doing figure eights around this should be not super difficult to do. If the controls are super, like, slippery and, like, momentum was all janky and, like, if this was a hard thing to do, then that's not good because of the hazards. If I want lots of hazards that you're weaving around and trying not to get hit by, I want to make sure that you can, like, effectively weave in a circle pretty good. But then I also want speed. I want you to be able to have a decent amount of speed. So one thing I did is that, like, when I turn back on the momentum thing, the longer you're moving in one direction, you start to pick up speed just on your own, because I thought that was cool. And then I also want ramps to sort of do that. Well, ramps already do it a little bit in that, like, I turn the movement based on the slope that you're on. So if I'm moving down a slope, the movement, like, the input gets, like, angled down already. But I might need it to do that more. I might need going down a slope gives you, like, extra oomph. But then I also want to cheat. There's two sides to that. I want to also cheat going uphill. Sometimes when you have games that are very, like, ball-based of, like, oh, gravity's a thing. You go downhill, you go fast. It's then countered by you go uphill, you slow down really fast, and that can suck. Like, oh no, uphill sucks. Oh, I'm going so slow just to go up. Oh no. I want to not have that. I want downhill to give you a boost, but I want to cheat going up and have going uphill not really slow you down that much. Maybe a little bit, or maybe not at all because going up walls and stuff. I don't know to the degree as well with the actual going up walls. How much I want to cheat the idea of... let me just turn that stuff back on real quick. Okay. Some games, if you can get speed to go up a wall or whatever, you go up. As I'm going up, because gravity's a thing, I'm slowly, like, losing speed. I can only go up so high. Like, based on how fast I was going on the ground, I can only go up so high before, I lose all my speed and then I drop off. I was considering that. I don't know how much, like, I don't know if that's the route that I want to go down, or if for the funsies, like, I kind of want, for one thing, I want the game, like, the setting of the game to be a little bit sci-fi, like, and bend the rules and do whatever I want to some degree. Like, the Unicycle itself can have a little bit of, like, sci-fi-ness. Like, one thing is I don't want to, the game's not going to have fall damage, but, I mean, like, games can not have fall damage and don't need a sciencey explanation for it, but, like, I can as a joke. Like, be like, oh, it's the Unicycle, because it's, like, technology or whatever. As long as you're on the Unicycle, you won't die from falling. But, anyways, I kind of want it to be a thing that just, as long as you have speed, you can traverse any surface, and nothing's gonna stop you unless you hit a hazard. I think I want, if you're climbing the wall, the thing that's gonna stop you from climbing that wall is the saw blades coming at you, the cannonballs that you're having to weave around, the holes in the surface that you have to avoid, or else you're gonna fall. I kind of want that to be more the thing, because ideally in real game scenario, if I want you to climb this wall, it's not going to be just a wall. There'll be stuff on it. So I think I like that mentality better of, yeah, as long as you have speed, gravity effectively doesn't exist. So if you're going uphill, you're just going to keep being able to go up infinitely until you stop, which then means, in theory, then means that you should be able to sort of go in a circle like this, and that should just be fine. So yeah, well, yeah, but I think, yeah, that should be fine. Now, if I judge it if I judge it entirely on speed, then if you 180, I don't know how that's going to be handled by how I want to handle that in the code of if you had speed, you turn around, you have speed going the other direction, so that counts enough to not fall off the wall, or if by turning around, it's like, no, that counts, kick them off, you had to, if you want to turn, you have to do it slowly. I don't know. I don't know how that should be handled, or, you know, what's going to be the easiest to sort of program. I mean, the easy thing is just, if velocity is less than blah, fall. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyways, though, getting very off topic aside, this momentum has some issues. But before I even get to that, as I said, there's stuff wrong with like the input, the momentum, blah blah blah. I want to kind of cut out some of this, and I want to get back to controller and keyboard responding the same, and then find out the exact bits that aren't responding the same, and then make them just more consistent. So like right here, if I'm perfectly stopped, I do this. I snap to going that way faster than if I do this. There's way more speed up there. Now, there's the question of which would I prefer? The more instant or the slight speed up there? I think I prefer this. I prefer it being that instant. Like, oh, there's something coming at me. I like can get out of the way really quickly rather than like this is more sluggish. I prefer this, so I kind of want, take what the keyboard's doing, take what the controller is doing, and get the keyboard to also respond that way. So, we start with that at where we get input. Also, right now, the things I just said, I want to get to work like as they are when we're perfectly on the ground. So I'm going to comment out the align to ground code for now, get this to working on ground, and then go up. Yeah, this is how we're going to do this. Okay, so getting the input. Right, there's also, another temporary thing is I disable input when we're in midair. For now, that's a temporary thing because I wanted that when you go off a ramp, you do the full proper arc. That's going to be readdressed eventually, but for now, it's fine. Okay, so, see, the one thing that's like weird with this is right now we do get input through the same thing. I just use the input.getAxis vertical and getAxis horizontal things, which for keyboard, it's just spitting out zeros and ones, and for controller, you have a few frames of it sort of getting all the way to 1 on these axes. I'm aware that Rewired exists, Rewired being an alternative input system. I just don't like it. It just complicates things a lot more. And with controller stuff, it is more stuff we have to now mess with in the settings that can be a bit complicated, but like, keyboard input is so much simpler to just go input.getKey keycode.w or whatever. Rewired makes it just so much more complicated to do that, in my opinion. It's entirely an experience thing as well. I haven't done as much with Rewired, where like if I had, then I'd be more comfortable with it, but still. So eventually, it might become a necessity that I might need to do that, especially if I want like, game to be supported on the keyboard and controller and like different things, and like be able to remap controls and whatnot. But we'll handle that down the line. Where I'm looking for the input settings, and why am I not seeing them? There we go. So this is all a thing that we don't have to concern ourselves too much with, except for horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. Which movement did I say would better? I said that the how the joystick was seemed more preferable to how keyboard and mouse were. Although, I mean, part of that is part of that's due to some of these settings for. I lost them. Some of that is due to part of these settings, and some of it is due to how I handle these inputs. I take the direction, I normalize it, I This angle stuff has to do with momentum, which is currently commented out, so we can ignore it. I save the last directions we were going in. Why do I do that way? What are you used to? Oh, that's just for the momentum, right? That's, yeah, okay, that technically is, yeah. Because a thing I do with the momentum is I sort of like, if you are going in a direction for a bit, then I increase the momentum. If you snap, turn around, then I make it go away fast. But, okay. Guys, I haven't looked at this code in a bit. I need to remind myself how I did it. So I take, yeah, like this step's normalizing it only if it's greater than 1. If you're like sort of tiptoeing a bit, then it goes less than, like, then it doesn't normalize it, which technically means you can like effectively tiptoe slightly faster on the diagonals. I need a better formula to sort of fix that, but I'll get there. It's not as important right now. Movement. So I take our current velocity. Oh, hold on. I take our current velocity. I flatten it relative to the ground that we're on. Again, trying to remember why I'm doing certain decisions here. I make sure that the way we're trying to go isn't 0. If input's 0, then like do nothing. That's what that is. I manually am calculating acceleration based on having a max speed to sort of not cross. Yeah. What did I have that? Yeah, it's like 10. Yeah, okay. Right, this is to speed up towards our, yeah, max speed. Yep, yep. This did it, rather than being there instantly. Hold on. Just, yeah, there's just acceleration stuff. Current speed, adding, like that's basically just acceleration equation stuff. Technically be velocity, but speed, because, well, I guess technically it is just a speed because it's a number. It becomes a velocity in a second when I give it a direction. Clamp it, of course, target velocity after that. The momentum that right now is not being dealt with, which the default momentum is 1, right? It starts as being 1 if I don't, yeah, it's not 0, of course. Which, momentum is just more of a speed multiplier here, but, yeah, that works. This flipped thing is that I... Right. If our velocity is greater than... Oh, right, if... we take our current the velocity that we have, and if the velocity that we wish to achieve is like, you know, we aren't there yet, then we're applying more of our force. Right. I remember having to, I do the like project on plane thing like multiple times. You know, it seems unnecessary because it was just being, some parts of this I think were being weird without doing that, and then I finally apply the force acceleration. Huzzah. Okay, this flip thing is part of the momentum. Yeah, when we 180, then like make sure to like that overrides this. Yeah, and then this shouldn't, you know, be there 24/7. This is like a temporary. Yeah, some of those are just temporary while I'm making the code, but then also the idea that you might have different drag when you're on the ground versus in the air. So that code is going to be there eventually, but right now that's sloppy code. But okay. This is the tricky bit. One, partially because I haven't looked at this in a while, but then 2 is just like, how exactly do I mess with this? Also, I'm getting tired. That's affecting my ability to be able to code. Oh no. And whether to solve my current immediate problem, whether I want to mess with this code at all or leave it as is, and oh god, it doesn't stop. No. What is tire? No such thing? Tire? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Are you referring to these fire things? This is default stuff that's just here when you make a new Unity project. It like pre-sets up a bunch of input manager things, because with the old short-term tired. Oh, there's no such thing as being tired. Ha 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 ha. Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So I guess your question was about that stuff that I don't do over. Well, yeah, I will for fun. Just imagine. Actually, I will cut out a lot of this eventually. This is like Unity's old input manager. It has all these preset up, like, oh, just linking some words to some buttons, and yeah, to then be able to like in code just go input.getAxis and then one of these, and it maps stuff to stuff. And then some of these are based on like keyboard buttons. Some of them are filled in with like joystick buttons, which is controller or whatever. I don't tend to use these that much, because I don't even usually do controller stuff. Usually a lot I've been doing input.get keycode bracket keycode dot W or whatever, to just get input in a more fixed way like that. But yeah, for controller stuff, this is like the easier way. You're kind of meant to do it with the old input system. Are you using 1440p monitor? No, actually, I'm using a 4K monitor. So that's 3,840 by 2,160. Yeah, I actually have two 4K monitors and then a 1K. I actually don't know, 1K-ish. I don't remember if it's like 1920 or if it's 1600 or. What are the dimensions of you? I want to say that this other one is 1920 by 1080p, which is normal, like, yeah. Not much of a first-person shooter guy, lol. No, specifically that, no, not quite. I don't know, I like 3D platformers and then random indie games, and then I have a bias towards anything made in Unity, so I can be like, oh, it's the thing that I use. Games that have creative, neat mechanics are cool. I don't like 2D I just instinctively like 3D stuff more than 2D stuff on average. Not that I don't like any 2D games, but 3D usually I like more, I guess. Especially stuff with... Usually 3D stuff with a third-person camera is like, yes, my kind of... Even though that's such a broad definition that it's definitely not completely true. What happened to the gravity? I commented out some code, so it partially stopped existing. Although, I didn't actually comment out the fall code. Oh, right. The momentum it does apply. It's applying itself to the falling, which it probably shouldn't be doing. But, huh. Interesting. Thing to be dealt with. I also noticed that this is actually will eventually be a much bigger problem when visuals happen. The fact that this little like square on the ground is turned is actually a big no-no. It should be always facing universally forward. That's a thing that will be dealt with eventually. Yeah. Even in terms of falling, I'm actually not sure how fast the player should fall. If it should be really fast or really slow. I like the idea of like you go into a chunk of level, you're falling for like 10 seconds, the camera points down, and it becomes like you're skydiving, kind of. Just like in Sonic Unleashed, that happens sometimes. It'd be cool to implement that kind of thing. But that will require a whole lot, like, additional code to have that. Like, that's kind of lower on the priority list if I want that kind of aerial movement code. We'll see. Okay, so, where am I with this? Don't stop yawning, that's where I am. Wait, hold on, let me back up 1 second. I believe that I specifically, on this player, over here, did I freeze? I freeze the Z rotation, and yet you managed to turn yourself on. Oh no, wait. Why don't I... You should be... Well, no, you should rotate. Okay, this isn't... I'm going to freeze you on the Y, so you're not going to turn because of external stuff. But the... yeah, so that should, in theory, make you not do that. Because, yeah, as I said, this sort of parent-player part of it shouldn't turn on the Y. Let me just double-check that. Yeah, did you with... back with the aligned to ground stuff. Blop and blop and blop and blah. Okay, just want to double check that I can do this, go on walls, wait, oh right, the momentum's still off, that's why the movement is painstakingly slow, and I shouldn't see, I see that I'm, yeah, behind my head, not behind my head anymore, the Y is 1, had the Y become 1, it's, I could force it, but, I don't know if that's going to cause me other problems. Well, I can't just force the Y to always be 0, I don't think, because when I'm, you know, upside down and stuff, that might mess with it. The thing I'm on the lookout for, yeah, no, now the Y is being like 90, which like makes sense given the angle. I'm just doing a quick bit of messing. Why are you killing 1? Why are you going back to 1? I don't fully know, but the reason I care about this, if it says it being like 1, then that's not the end of the world. When I bring back the visuals of the old player over here, this parent player also doesn't turn on the Y-axis, but then, let me see if I can get you functional. Hold on. Ignore that the movement's gonna be... The camera is not happy with it, which I don't actually fully know why the camera breaks to the degree that it does, but it does. It sure does. Let me just put you down here. Look at just the game view, not the scene view. This player, he turns around and whatnot because he's on a unicycle rather than traditional players where they only go forward. I have that this unicycle man can like go, if he's going backwards, he just keeps pedaling backwards because cool movement. So to allow stuff like that to happen, the parent game object of this unicycle man doesn't turn. It's just the child thing that turns based on the direction that you're moving, which is why it's important that the parent doesn't actually turn, or doesn't turn significantly, I guess. Oh, no, I can. You've definitely turned more because I can tell. Although I don't know if that's as a result of the weird camera activation and stuff. If this turns significantly, then when I then go to turn the child, it won't be facing the right way. So if that turns significantly, then it'll be like going sideways, which, yeah, I foresee that potentially being a problem. But given that it's not turning that much, it's not something I'm going to worry about until later. Also, I see all those errors as a result of the double cameras. That's fine. I would potentially like to, even though I'm just worried about the new player, I'd like to get an old player, at least that weird camera nonsense to not happen, so that when they're more fully functional, I can like compare new player to old player more with less broken camera, but not super important right now. It's already 11:30? No, I'm gonna have to stop very soon. Darn. I was actually hoping to stop at 11, but then we haven't actually done that much. I've just rambled the whole time and haven't actually coded that much at all. So let's at least see if I can get just the very simple meh versus meh to just be the same. Even though I have to temporarily cut out a lot of movement stuff for that to happen. I don't really have to, like, part of me doesn't want it to, like, you know, grind this back down again to then rebuild it, sort of, but, there's some stuff in here that's, like, double projecting on plane that doesn't seem fully necessary. Some of this was done before I had, done the whole, you know, going fully sideways, upside down, or whatever, so some of this could potentially be changed and cheated because of that. Yeah. Especially a lot of the momentum stuff here, conceptually, I might change how some of it's done, because I'm just unsure with some of it. But if I were to just temporarily, where do I calculate the force? You there. Yeah, you're... as a temporary thing, just to weed out whether the current input problems are because it might not be because of this movement function. I might be able to just get away with changing some of the settings on getting the controller stuff. But just to sort of separate so that I can narrow down problems. Let me just go simple movement or something as a temporary replacement function, because I'm not deleting any of this code yet. I'm just sort of commenting some stuff out just so things can stop breaking. Just go get input blarg simple movement blarg that you're gonna just do the most bare minimum, apply force based on the most bare minimum I can get from here. I need this bit because I want the going up and down slopes to still do what it should. So force is you come from desired direction comes from the input. Yeesh. So cutting out momentum temporarily. Current speed comes from where do you come from? You just this is looking at what? Whoa, is this the wrong order? This is looking at the speed from like last frame, because then we're adding onto it this frame essentially. Let me just dump in. I know that I have max speed as like a fixed number, so say target velocity equals direction based on input. Which, are you a vector 3? You should already be flattened based on. This is meant to be flattened based on the slope that we're on. So let me just let that be a thing for a minute. Desired direction equals this. Ignore this for a minute. New direction. Wait, did I not flatten this? Oh, no, right. Why not, though? I flattened it down here. Yeah, I should totally be... Because this is like the sort of global... Like, this is the input sort of direction. If you imagine it from, like, a top-down, like, flat thing, it could be a vector, too. I want to... I think at this... If I'm calling it desired direction... I don't even know how much I like that name. My variable names are like all over the place when I'm having all this like spaghetti together code. I want this vector 3 to be along like the actual slope that we wish to move on. So I'm gonna put you there. I'll be after the normalization step. Just be where do I calculate ground normal? That happens down here, which happens in the fall code, which means I need that. Why do you happen in the fall code? That's also sloppy. Wait, let me confirm that you... Do you? Where are you? Where are you? Well, oh, no, because, yeah, no, this is... I've just realized that I've been doing this bad as well, that is grounded then recalculates that stuff. Yeah, that's sloppy. That should be done differently. Anyways, you will get to it. I think when I was first building this, I was just in a hurry to just get it to work, but yeah, it doesn't work if it's done poorly. So calculate input. I'm just gonna as a I should calculate the ground normal like as this early. If anything, maybe it should be like done at the beginning of the frame or something. And then, yeah, it should be saving the number, saving that. Do this at the beginning of the frame, and then because a lot of the input is based on this. How do I want to do this? Make you a private variable. Private bool is grounded and equals false. Not that I really need the default thing in there. That's fine. Change your name to check if grounded. It's a name. It does the job. I'd rather it be not generic. Not so generic that I forget its purpose. Okay. Is grounded equals... well, I guess I already... Just make that... Yeah, not local. Is grounded equals do this, but then we also calculate that after the fact. Okay, so at the beginning of the frame, then, yeah. So then if is grounded. Okay. Okay. See, this, to me, this part of coding where it's more like logical, I don't know, is easier to me than figuring out complicated physics to pass into rigid bodies and doing anything to do with rotations and quaternions. Is grounded. But physics be necessary when you're trying to make a complicated physics-y based characters. I'm kind of the belief, I do partially think that making this player will be the hardest technical thing of the game. I mean, like, it depends on how you narrow things down. Making an entire big old level, making a bunch of cutscenes, like, big, hard task, sure. But in terms of, like, I don't know, relative stuff, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think the player, making the entire player and making it all work and all the things it needs is going to be extremely, extremely difficult compared to a lot of other stuff that will come after it. Even just, once the player can move good, hooking back up, like, the repairing and stuff, that will be comparatively a bajillion times easier. Especially because that stuff that's, like, already functional and was functional on the old player. It might just, like, to make that work, I probably just will need to just add those scripts back onto the new player, I think, and then it, like, you know, fix, like, 2 things, and then it'll be good. Except for, I guess I do have to now care about, okay, what if you're on a wall and then you go to repair a thing? How should that be handled? Like, I have to figure that out. I don't think you'll be, like, on a wall. Like, I think you'll be, like, on the ground to repair most things. With the exception of, I can imagine being on a magnet wall and then you go to repair a thing and then, sure. Okay, the idea of having to keep being in movement as you're, like, circling around something to repair it seems kind of interesting, but I imagine that, like, repairing was more of like a glorified interact button. You go up to the thing, press a button to animation of repairing the thing, and then it's repaired, you move on. So doing that, like, while you're mid, like, loop-to-loop doesn't seem like something that goes that well together. But, I don't know, that stuff I can figure out later. But I think my first instinct would be that, like, you only repair stuff when you're on flat ground, and if you go to repair something on a wall, you're going to slow down and fall anyway, so that's... With the exception of, I might have, as I said, magnetized walls that you stick to so you can stop sideways, and then that's fair game. I think that's probably how I would do it, but something that can be reassessed later. So, what was I just doing? Check if grounded, just do that, and then over here, that means that check if grounded is then, yeah, figuring out the ground normal. I'm fine with that being the sequence of events that happens that way. Figure out the desired direction by projecting blarg, and then this isn't being used and this isn't being used, so I'm just going to comment things out just to be clear. This angle difference was used for, like, if I'm going this way and now I'm going that way, make the momentum do good with that. But for now, we're not having momentum stuff, so I'm just, like, just to simplify things. So, okay, target velocity is the direction times the speed. Now you're good. I then shouldn't have to project anything because the direction is already projected. Then, well, calling this target velocity is not the name this should have. We'll call this force, I guess. Sure. I do want to make. I want to keep this as force mode dot acceleration. I'm aware that there is force mode dot impulse and velocity change if I wanted to be more of this explosion force, but I don't want that because then it messes with if I want other forces to act on this player. I want conceivably to be able to have, I want, like, a wind tunnel of, like, wind is being pushed at you and that affects your movement. I want external forces to be able to, in theory, affect the player. If you just have having the main movement use the like impulse or whatever makes that a lot trickier to work with. But anyways, okay, so we're back to just slow, boring, which is fine. I just want to see if is like this. Is it? I don't I don't think so. Even like this, it feels like it'll be easier to tell if I just now make the... I can make the player like this faster, which right now it's using the max speed, which, yeah. I'm just gonna apply all this as it is right now. Yeah. Yeah. And then even in here, you can have, yeah, apply. So I can change it and I can go back as long as I don't apply that. Let's go 40 or something. That's faster. It's like, oh, it's like so much, yeah, I don't know, it's so much less than it was before. Which is why there was all that complicated movement code in the first place, but we'll get back there. We'll get back there. Yeah. It's a little bit hard to also, like, looking at it, you know, right now, it's just this versus when it, in theory, has a unicycle pedaling around, like, how much initial slowness it should have to, like, whatever, and, you know, the animation of starting pedaling and whatnot, however that's gonna look. Yeah, I don't know. It's all, like, we'll see. Why is, you have, a collider that's, like, turned 45 degrees, I think. Oh, that's what I did? Probably, possibly. Actually, I think you're part of the old ground detection. That might use that again at some point, but anyways, whatever. Not important right now. So that's that versus, yeah. So this is so much more sluggish, which I knew going to this. That was part of the point of, is the camera's being a bit jittery, I think. That's a separate thing. I noticed looking at the background, it's like t-t-t-t-ing a bit. Right? Yeah, that's a whole thing that shouldn't happen. Stuff to be sorted out eventually, but now I can't 100% tell, is that the same? I want to say it is. If it's not exactly the same, it's close enough. If I can't tell the difference, it's a minor difference, that's fine. It's just the way it was before, there was such like a major difference, and that bothered me. And again, moving in a circle versus at best moving at like the 45s, like that's fine. I'm more fine with that being different, kind of to a degree. If I snap like left to right, that should be about the same, which is. With the other one, it also wasn't. One was like doing a slower turn, and one was doing a very like snappy turn. Like that was something I didn't like. Yeah. So I wasn't sure. Let me also just double check that these are at values that I want them to be at. Over here. Yeah, this is just the player stuff. This is, you know, keyboard mouse stuff that I believe should stay untouched. I mean, mainly it's these, like, gravity and dead zone sensitivity settings that might need to be changed. Gravity is, like, they about it falls towards neutral when device at rest. Yeah, which, like, to be closer to a keyboard button should be pretty instant. The dead zone is like, if I move this the tiniest bit, it does nothing. Yeah, and then sensitivity being 1. I don't know how much I care about these being exactly the same. Let me just try as a test. If I put those sensitivities at the same thing. No, so like that's different, right? Yeah. I do almost say that I like the smoothness of this a little bit better, but I want consistency first. If I want to be like this, then that's a matter of like changing some stuff in the code. increasing that sort of initial acceleration. Yeah. Right. Unless, okay, can I change these mid-runtime? I don't know if I can. We're gonna find out. I want to see if I make these like 10, hypothetically. Ooh, you take a long time to then slow down. Really? Why? That I thought, or am I mistaken on that? Now, it feels like if I let go... It feels like on controller, if I let go, I stop faster. If I let go in here, I 100% take longer to slow down. Why would sensitivity affect that? Sensitivity was more for moving up, and I thought gravity was more for the moving down when in neutral, which would be letting go. But, weird. Again, it doesn't need to be exact. I just want it to be in the ball game of close. I also hold both at the same time, which doesn't like multiply the speed. That'd be funny. I think it does with the camera, but that's fine. 11:51. No, I will stop before midnight. I gotta stop before midnight. Okay. Is that fine? But am I basically back where I started? Why? Well, okay, I mean, I put it to like 10. Maybe that's too much. If I go... No. 3, 3. I'd rather, I think, keep those as sort of their defaults. So trust that they're their defaults for a reason. And I put that down to be just... consistent. There is... Can't I, as another tip, can't I make these infinity? And then, like... Because part of me wants to make these infinity here, and then, like, do the smoothing up and down entirely through code. Yeah. Maybe that... Okay, maybe that solves part of the problem, anyway. Yeah, I prefer that. I prefer that, for sure. Okay. Because, yeah, I do want snappy controls. And that's part of that. Okay, cool. I don't know, actually, if this menu is going to get undone when I go to play mode. So, 2 infinities. Yes, okay. Good. Now, I don't know if by just doing that, if I now were to undo some of the other changes I made, I guess it's kind of the next thing to sort of test is like undo some of that stuff, and then, I mean, yeah, these are 2. Okay. Let's now go back into play mode, double check that I changed stuff and still, like, working the same. Good. I call that good. Now, I just want to double check. I have all the momentum stuff turned on, but the speed is, like, decent. I just want to double check how slopes are currently behaving. Oh. Oh, no, of course, right. The being mapped to the slope that I'm on. Wait. I thought you should already be taking the ground normal thing, but you're not. Shouldn't... Yeah, that's not behaving how I believe it should be based on how things are currently programmed. Even though the player isn't being angled towards the surface that they're on, I thought that the ground would be. Let me double check that that is. It just does a raycast down a bit. It hits stuff. We are on the ground, so then it sets the ground based on the normal of the thing that we hit. Which I thought my debug plane thingy does not angle towards that, and I'm not going to do the math right now to make it do that. I'm good. Yeah, so that's fine. But desired direction still should, because this should be mapping towards the normal that we're on. Let me just print desired direction. which I then, yeah, I just apply force in that direction. Yeah, so I shouldn't be, if I'm going down a slope, I shouldn't be hooping off it. 5 minutes, no. And I'm not solving the problem just yet, I'm just getting information. No, but hold on, no, come back. Give me the numbers, and you're of course not gonna, yeah. Yep, numbers. Oh, Dave H, hello. What kind of game is this? A game that is very much, like, looked like it had way more progress before, but has been torn down to rebuild up some fundamental stuff and then re-implement all the stuff that was, make it work with all the stuff that was functional before. This is the Handyman with a Unicycle. Yeah, a game that I'm making where you can live your dreams of riding a unicycle. No. Let me implement some things. Your stream's so bright, need a night mode background. I die on the hill of I use light mode. So in game you can do this, except it's not gonna be quite like that. But you can do loop your loops. I don't know. I like light mode. I prefer light mode, I guess. But like, do I give in? How many viewers am I losing just by using light mode? Should I just give up, convert to dark mode, just so that like people don't leave? No. My one was like, is that the sun? There's a sun over there. Oh wait, is this the sun? Yes, obviously. No. Yeah, so this is the Handyman with the Unicycle game where you will be on a unicycle. You ride around a unicycle, have to repair rides. The main thing is that the movement will be interesting, but it's like a scramble, mad dash of stuff's breaking there, stuff breaking there, stuff breaking over there. Gotta ride around this environment, dodge hazards and stuff, and like time manage getting to the things before they break and fixing them. But like figuring out, like kind of learning the levels a bit to be like, based on that one over there, and that one over there, and that one over there, I know that there's like a shortcut that way, so like the fastest path to get to all the things, to fix them in time. You're doing shortcuts and then like dodging hazards and cool movement with like going up walls and stuff. Yeah, that is the plan. We have a lot more implemented than just this. I've just had to, I'm in the middle of tearing down the movement and making it better. But it's still very much a work in progress. Like, when I'm on a wall like this, if I stop moving, I will fall off of it. That's just not a thing yet. Because I'm cheating a bit. I'm going to be cheating a bit and not being, you know, proper physics. Like, if you're moving, you basically stick to the surface so that you could do loop-de-loops and like, it being easy to not fall off of them. It's more like, if you stop, then you'll fall, is kind of how I'm doing it. And I was like, it's a game where the guys are rolling around Sonic the Hedgehog land. I've seen some stuff. Yeah. We do have, like, a guy, Unicycle Man over here, which even this is a placeholder model, is just more of an actual person. We will eventually get back to this guy being here. I just wanted to tear down, like, with redoing all the movement stuff, I wanted to just work with the pure collision of the player and just work based on that, and then bring back in that other stuff once this is more functional. It's very much a work in progress, and, oh hey, I actually launched off. I launched off that well, but not... Okay, technically, a thing that shouldn't be working is technically working, but it shouldn't be working, and I don't know why, because it was weird. So if you're doing if force is greater than X, then don't stick kind of thing. Yeah, that's sort of the plan, which in practice we'll see how much I need to tweak that kind of behavior, but that's the idea. I want one type of, I don't know if you really call this an obstacle, I want there to be like magnet walls sometime. What the heck is going on? Oh, right. Because me turning on that old player stuff is, I don't know, it breaks everything for some reason. Trying to have both there at the same time, it does not like it at all. I want like magnetized walls where it's like, oh, those you can stop on and you just magnet, you stick, because sure, ignore that, you know, unicycle tires are rubber and not metal. The game's gonna be slightly sci-fi, so I can like do whatever I want and pretend it makes sense. There also won't be fall damage. In terms of getting hit by obstacles, I purposely don't want health and like dying to be a thing. I want... most of the game is running against the clock, get to the things before time runs out. So I want all the obstacles to just be like things to slow you down, and like you'll get stunned for a few seconds, blink, and then you're good to go. Or you can fall off somewhere and then respawn, and like it's all like time wasters is kind of how I'm doing, how I'm thinking of hazards. But then also that just like physically, you know, moving around stuff. Like, oh, I need to get up there. I gotta go down this ramp, get a lot of speed, and woohoo! Could the character have their own gravitation points? What do you mean? I mean, they almost do. Do you mean if I'm moving fast, things get sucked towards me? That's mildly interesting. Maybe. I do have lots of ideas for different things that could happen. The player I mean would... the player I mean that would exist outside of the rest of the world? I less know what you're talking about. Sorry. Like... Do you mean like, oh, if I go on this wall and I stop, if there was like blocks and stuff, they'd all like fall or whatever? So like Mario Galaxy physics? So, like, okay, I am having like, yeah, so you can go do loop-de-loops and stuff. In theory of going the other way around, like bending around, something like that. Currently, I don't have any plans for that, but there could be. As I said, if I'm going to do, like, magnet walls, like, here's a giant sphere that's, like, magnetized and, yeah, acts like a Mario Galaxy planet, you stick to it or whatever. Could have such things. We'll see. I don't think that'd be something that I would revolve the entire game around. It's just not the current plan, I think. I have lots of other crazy, wacky ideas. But, yeah. For now, gravity points down, except when you're going fast. I do want a thing that... I want you to be able to kind of wall ride in a way that, like, if I go off this ramp and then hit this wall, I should then turn sideways and then be going along the wall. So there's going to be stuff like that in theory. It's just not functional yet. So much theoreticals that just, yeah, aren't there yet, but we're getting there. That sounds gun, eh? Sounds fun. There was going to be, in terms of other characters, this guy is... Handy Harold Henderson, who might get a name change. No names are set in stone. It's just stuff while for now anyway. I was gonna have a pirate guy named Captain, was it Gunther Gunderson or something? He'd be holding 2 muskets. I still want that kind of character, but I don't think that's going to be his name anymore. I kind of like the idea of, like, he's like a pirate, a very stereotypical looking pirate, but he just has, like, a normal name. Or kind of. Taking a normal name and making it piratey, so his name was going to be Captain Frank McSteve, or something like that. We'll see. What about, like, Rail Slides, Tony Hawk style, or Infamous when he rides in Padalecks? So... there is going to be tightropes. Balancing on tightropes is 100% going to be a thing. And was a thing earlier that this current player cannot do because they're broken. But if I head over to... where are you? Here. This is an old test level that eventually will have the new player functional in here. But yeah, I'm not lying. Tightropes are a thing. Whoa. I can't show them right now because everything's so broken. I look forward to when everything gets unbroken so then I can show off a lot of these mechanics again. But if I go into play mode here, everything's dying. Why am I slow? But yeah, it's a mess. It used to be working. Unfortunately, it's not. Yeah, tightropes are a thing. That's gonna be a thing. And I literally want it to have the Tony Hawk style, like, when you're grinding on a rail, that UI that comes up with the thing that balances. I want to have that exact thing. Or, like, you know, stylized for this game. Maybe it's slightly different. But I want that idea. Look good? Yeah. So that, and then, like, part of the movement is 100% being inspired by, like, skateboarding games. At least initially the idea of, like, oh, if you're going fast, you go up a wall a little bit. Like, the turning sideways, like going up a half pipe, quarter pipe, whatever pipe. That 100% was inspired by, like, yeah, partially skateboarding games and then partially, like, Sonic games, like loop-de-loops and stuff. The difference being in, like, Sonic games, when you do loop-de-loops, usually it's, like, automated mini cutscene-esque kind of thing. Not always, but, like, a lot of times it's more just a spectacle thing. I want to be able to have, like, oh, I'm going fast, I'm up a wall, and now I'm, like, ooh, dodging hazards and stuff while sideways, and then fall off, and woo. Both good choices. Yeah. It's just, yeah, gonna take time to get all the programming everything in and getting there. Yeah, physics is hard, and anytime I have to do stuff with rotating things in complicated ways, it's hard. It's like two areas of programming that I find pretty challenging. But then once we're through this, onto like the everything else, all the repairing stuff that was functional has to be re-functional, the like hub world that I've made, like comparatively, all that stuff's gonna be a million times easier. I think they decided on going from free to rail movement on the loops due to player testing. Yeah, so there's like reasons to do it one way or another. I think in the case of Sonic, can be like, oh, you don't want to be mid-loop and then like fly off. Sure. Especially like in that game, you go a lot faster than you might in this game. It's like reasons to do it one way or another. I actually so I don't know actually how much in my game I'm gonna have a traditional like loop-to-loop specifically. I don't know. This was just a good like test object. When I say you're gonna be able to go upside down and stuff, I think more this kind of thing, yeah, like upside, except with the player going a lot faster than this, going up a wall to like do stuff, or this kind of a surface where I'm like going sideways right along, going like up there. This is more what I meant. Or like, hey, here's a cylindrical thing, woo, but then also hazards. Like the main thing that makes this interesting isn't just the environment, like it's dealing with hazards and obstacles while doing all this is the extra piece. But in like Trackmania, you can fly off wherever, and it's fantastic. Yeah, ideally it'd be cool if this game has cool movement that could be a bit of a cool speedrunning-y thing to be able to like, yeah, do the movement good, and yeah, would be cool. Ideally, like, this game works if moving from point A to point B is enjoyable. It falls apart if it's not. That's why I'm kind of why I'm rebuilding the player from the ground up. The player I had before is like, it's good, it works, but I mean, it couldn't do the whole going up walls thing, and or it didn't have a lot of momentum. That's the other thing I'm working on implementing here is momentum. If I go down a ramp, I should go flying a lot. Well, I want more of that physics in there. But then I also want snappy controls that, like, if I'm dodging hazards, I can, like, you know, turn quickly to do that. All a work in progress. Still, yeah, coming along. We did, how long were we going? 2 hours, 18 minutes? We didn't do a whole lot. This was mostly me rambling and talking about ideas and whatnot, but, still, yeah. Yeah, it's coming along. I feel like we partially ended worse than where we started because I commented a bunch of code that I got to then uncomment. But I think I unfortunately I am out of time by 8 minutes. I'm gonna I do need to stop here for now, and we'll pick this back up next time. Although, well, yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping to going forward. Yeah, gonna be keeping doing streams, working on this game and whatnot, and doing some like planning of stuff kind of between streams, hopefully. Ideally, I save the streams for more like, you know, making stuff, that I'm not just sitting around twiddling my thumbs trying to figure out how I'm doing stuff. But that's going to be inevitable while doing a lot of this player stuff. I think once we're through the hurdle of this player stuff, then it will be more smooth sailing, hopefully. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna be going for now. Although as I said at the beginning of the stream, plans for the next couple streams, I kind of want to, for variety's sake, do a bit of a pattern of so one stream working on this game, Handyman with Unicycle, and another stream working on this thing, which for those missed towards the beginning when I rambled about what this is, you see how below the stream there's like a live feed of a Unity scene doing a conveyor belt thing. We're making a new one that's gonna be cooler. Oh, good man, looking good. Thank you. Yeah, we're making a new one that's gonna be very, very different than what you're seeing here. But in dark mode, you say? yeah. I mean, currently this has a darker color scheme, except I'm actually gonna the environment this is gonna be all wintry, so that's gonna be white snow. So sorry about that. Nah. So this is the thing that we're making. It's called Wandering Cube for now. The cube that's just going between places, but I want to like really deck this out, make it graphically look good, and then even the cube itself have this be a million times. We made this is like an hour of work put into this so far. That was the previous stream, and then conceptualizing like what all the idea is going to be. There's going to be so much more to this. Eventually, I want to swap out the cube for an actual character running around. and then have way more cool graphical stuff, and like slopes and floors and like moving platforms and all that stuff. Just yeah, idle animation of a person just running around all these points. I think could just be a cool thing I want to try to make. But then also for a lot of the graphical stuff, I want to kill two birds with one stone, and a lot of the graphical stuff I make for this could then also use in this. So that being a thing. So we're gonna kind of go back and forth doing the stream of this, and then also occasionally I play games on stream, so there's going to be some of those thrown in as well. Which, tomorrow, because it's Halloween, I want to finish the spooky game that we were playing a little bit ago. A game that I was playing called Lost in Random, where we beat the game in the last stream, but I don't got all the achievements. And some of those achievements require me to do a second playthrough. But I don't need to go through all of the game. I just need to start a new game, get to a certain story beat, and then do a certain thing for one of the achievements, and then a few other of the achievements they're gonna be scrambled in there. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that for funsies. I think that's gonna be tomorrow's stream. Just do that. Still deciding on what the next game I'm gonna play is after that. Well, I'll figure that out. And then yeah, just gonna have that cycle of the three things of unicycle game, this background animation thing, random game for funsies, variety sake, and blah 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 blah. Anyways, so yeah, look forward to that. So we're gonna, I guess, as I keep repeating myself, we're going to stop heal at full tonight, and hold on, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna look for somebody to raid in software development. Let's look for somebody doing Unity stuff, because Unity. Haha, I see if I'm the top person doing Unity stuff. Part of that person with the Unity tag, but not everyone doing Unity stuff is necessarily using Unity tag. So I'm just gonna take the next highest person, Lock the Mage. Not familiar with them, but yeah, I hope they're making cool game Unity stuff. So, I'm also gonna raise the desk full, ending things off here. Yeah. Even though we didn't program a lot here, I'm still kind of happy with like getting to ramble through kind of a lot of where this game has been going. And so one thing I might also do, yeah, we'll go in a second. I just want to say one other thing is, back when I was streaming like months ago, when I was working on these games and whatnot, I almost had this like internal rule where it's like, oh, I can't work on the game unless I stream it. I have to have 100% of what happens making it be streamed. And that led to progress happening way more slowly, because it's like, oh, if I don't have the time to stream, I guess I can't work on the thing. So I'm trying to move away from that a little bit, in that like if I have 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, even though I don't have time to do a full stream, like I still work on the game on my own. Especially right now when I'm in this state of like, oh, figure out how to make the player better. Yeah, I'd rather just see the game make more progress and be able to come at the stream and be like, hey, look at all this stuff that's different now. Look at, you know, more progress or whatever. That being said, that's likely not going to really happen that much in the immediate future, because I'm super busy with other things going on. I just did a game jam last week. Made a game with that. Time spent making that game, I put off a lot of like errands and stuff that I now have to sort of spend this week kind of catching up on. So that's going to be taking up a substantial amount of my time. But yeah, so anyways, so hard to judge because of Halloween specifically. I might stream tomorrow if I have the time to. If not, then the day after. Then I'm starting to hopefully, yeah, be streaming more consistently, getting back into it. Just gotta find the time to do it. But anyway, so I think that'll do it for this live. Wait, hold on, no, hold on. Let me just. Hold on. Wasn't done pressing the button that I need to press. So we go, and then and then over here we're gonna stop this, and then yeah. All right. So that'll do it for this live stream. If you liked it, look forward to more. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you around. And now I gotta go press other buttons. This and that. And all right. Bye.